She said, "It's about trust. I just need privacy sometimes." I said, "Of course. Boundaries are healthy." Then I synced her old smartwatch to my tablet. She'd forgotten to unpair it. First pop-up: "Don't tell your husband we met again." Second one: a heart emoji from someone named Coach Greg. I didn't throw the tablet. I smiled, because now I had all the receipts, and she had no idea the game had already started. I'm not the jealous type. I'm the kind of guy who forgets our anniversary, but remembers her coffee order. Medium roast, splash of almond milk, no sugar, just like her. Bitter but committed to the illusion of balance. Camille always said we were spiritually aligned. Translation: I paid the bills, and she aligned her weekends with silent retreats and yoga instructors named things like Sage or River. She once told her sister I was grounding. Like a power cord, I guess. Useful, invisible, and only noticed when something shorts out. 3 months ago, I caught her deleting texts. She said I was overreacting. If you trusted me, you wouldn't need to check. So I stopped checking, her phone anyway. But old tech has memory, and Camille never learned how to wipe it clean. Read on to see why trust, in our house, was a one-way mirror, and I finally looked through it. Our third anniversary landed on a Wednesday. I booked dinner anyway. Nothing flashy, just that place on Fremont she said had soulful miso back when she was still describing food like people. I wore the gray shirt she liked. She didn't show. Camille texted at 7:19 p.m. "Babe, I'm so sorry, totally spaced. Can we do Friday instead? Or are we over anniversaries now, lol?" I didn't answer. I just sat there, nodding politely at the waiter as he cleared the second glass of wine that hadn't been touched. He brought me a dessert on the house, some chocolate thing I didn't want. The candle looked more embarrassed than I felt. When I got home, Camille was already asleep, or performing sleep, which in her case meant one AirPod in and a podcast still playing. Something about conscious relating and polyvagal states. I brushed my teeth, undressed in the hallway like a guest, and laid next to someone who could forget a milestone but remember to charge her aura crystals. The next day, I checked our credit card statement. Old habit: groceries, gas, dog food, and then $412 at a sushi place. Wednesday night. Not our usual spot. She hadn't ordered in. She'd gone out. Without telling me. Now, I've never been a spy. I don't have the energy. But Camille had left her old smartwatch in the drawer after getting the new one. The drawer I clean out every 3 months because she insists clutter blocks abundance. I charged it. Synced it. Harmlessly curious, like a dad Googling his kid's slang. The health app opened automatically. Heart rate: 104 BPM. Time: 8:17 p.m. Duration: 46 minutes. Not a jog. Not a hit session. Just a lovely evening out, with someone stimulating enough to elevate her pulse and make her forget I existed. I didn't say anything. That's not how I work. I catalog. Camille made coffee that morning. Said she felt so bad about last night. She kissed me twice. Said, "I know we've both been off lately, but let's reset, okay?" I nodded and smiled. Let her talk about vibes and intentions and the moon being in Cancer. She called me her rock. Said she needed my grounding presence more than ever. She packed her gym bag. Said she had a Pilates lift spin thing. I waved goodbye and said I'd cook tonight. She smiled. "That's why you're the best." She left, and I opened the activity log again. Calories burned: 278. Location tag: downtown, not the gym. She didn't forget our anniversary. She replaced it. Turns out, she did celebrate, just with someone who didn't remind her of her gluten phase. 3 days later, she asked where the old charger went. Not her new smartwatch. The old one. The one she said didn't sync right and kept glitching. The one I was quietly charging under my desk, paired to my tablet like a ghost tether. "Have you seen the white charger with the round base?" she asked, sorting through a box labeled miscellaneous tech. Her voice was casual, but her eyes flicked too fast, scanning corners. I sipped my coffee. "Didn't we toss it?" She shook her head. "No, I think I kept it in case I wanted to start using it again. The battery on the new one's garbage." That was new. Last week she called it a perfect upgrade. Now she wanted her unreliable X-Watch back? I shrugged. "Haven't seen it." She nodded. "Too quickly." "Cool. No big." She left for her midday class, some fusion of Pilates, breathwork, and low-light sobbing, judging by her mood lately. Once the door shut, I checked the sync device. New message from G. "Friday same time?" Miss your energy. She hadn't deleted the old watch's data trail. Rookie move. I tapped the contact profile. No last name. No photo. No social links. Just G. But the texts made it obvious. This wasn't some group chat or gratitude accountability partner. Last Tuesday. You wore me out, lol. Next time, my turn to host. Saturday. Loved seeing you in that top again. Dangerous. I didn't react. Just saved everything. Screenshots, timestamps, battery logs, heart rate spikes. I wasn't going to confront her yet. No raised voice. No accusations. Just a library of her contradictions, growing quietly by the day. When she got home, she was glowing. Literally. Highlighter across her collarbones. Skin flushed in that fake natural way you get after a steamy yoga class or a midday rendezvous. She leaned over to kiss me. How was your day? I said, peaceful. You. She laughed. Greg pushed us hard. I'm gonna feel it tomorrow. Greg. Not G. Not coach. Full name. Volunteered. No hesitation. She added, he's just intense in class. You'd hate him, very type A. I smiled. Sounds exhausting. She grinned. It is. But you know, good for me. Then she opened the fridge, pulling out her overpriced beet smoothie, and sat on the couch like she wasn't currently cheating with a man whose messages came with flex emojis. I stood there quiet, watching her, memorizing this moment. She thought she was ahead. She thought silence meant ignorance. She had no idea silence was a setup. Didn't know soul cycling came with dessert and deleted messages. Camille handed me a brochure at breakfast. Thick cardstock, herbal scented, like a spa menu mated with a vision board. Digital cleanse retreat, she said, pouring oat milk into her granola like a monk dispensing wisdom. 3 days. No phones. No clocks. Just breath, movement, and intentional silence. I raised an eyebrow. Sounds very silent. She nodded, eyes glowing like she'd found religion. I really need this. My nervous system's fried, but I want us to do it together. That last word was loaded. Not an invitation, a dare. I flipped through the brochure. A lodge in the Cascades. Shared cabins. Zero Wi-Fi. Group chakra alignment at sunrise. Also, $2,200 per person. Sliding scale, if you believe in unicorns. I set it down. You should go. I'll hold the fort here. Feed the dog. Recharge in my own introvert way. She smiled like that made sense. Like we were 2 planets in harmonious orbit, not 1 star and 1 satellite. Okay, she said. I'll book it now. Just me. She left that Friday morning with a hemp backpack and no makeup, promising to come back, clearer, softer, and more present. The moment her car disappeared around the corner, I turned on the tablet. The smartwatch, still paired, still loyal, buzzed alive. Friday, 4:03 p.m., new message from G. Room 12 again? Can't wait. Room. Not cabin. Not lodge. Room. I clicked the calendar app. Appointment. Greg integration session. Time. 5 to 7 p.m. Location. Weller Hotel, Capitol Hill. No Cascades. No retreat. Just Greg. Between Friday and Sunday, the watch logged 28 messages, 6 voice memos, and 3 GPS routes triangulating a perfect triangle. His apartment, the hotel, her yoga studio. I didn't listen to the voice notes. I didn't need to. The titles were enough. Last night. Felt seen today. Keep this one safe. I made copies of everything. Google Drive folder. Spiritual Digest. Encrypted. Backed up. Timestamped. On Sunday night, she came home with tangled hair and a fresh crystal necklace. It was profound, she said, dropping her bag on the floor. I journaled like crazy. Cleared so much. I think I finally let go of my fear. I nodded. You seem lighter. She kissed my forehead. Thank you for trusting me. I smiled. Of course. And I meant it. I trusted her. To lie, to keep lying, and to wrap it all in linen and pseudo-spirituality. She went upstairs to unpack her chakras, or whatever. I watched the watch. They called it a disconnection retreat. I just didn't tell her who was disconnected. Camille insisted we do brunch with her sister the following weekend. Said it would be healing. For who? She didn't specify. Jade, 2 years younger, chronically single, and always a little too interested in Camille's spiritual life, met us at a rooftop spot downtown. Mimosas, frittatas, and an atmosphere thick with unresolved childhood dynamics. Camille showed off her new necklace. It's moonstone. Greg says it helps with energetic realignment. I cut into my eggs and said nothing. Jade blinked. Greg. Camille sipped her mimosa too fast. Oh, my yoga coach. From the cleanse thing. Jade leaned in, eyes narrowing just enough. So you're really doing the whole Greg thing now? Silence. Camille's fork froze midair. I kept my eyes on my plate, but I felt her flinch, like a dog hearing thunder before anyone else does. What? Camille laughed. Too loudly. Jade? What are you even talking about? Jade shrugged. Nothing. Just, you were talking about him a lot at Mom's. Thought maybe he was more than downward dog. Camille forced a smile. He's a coach. That's all. Jade looked at me, then back at Camille. Okay, if you say so. We finished brunch in the kind of quiet that only happens when everyone's pretending nothing just exploded. Back home, Camille launched into damage control before the door even shut. She's just jealous. Always has been. She hates when I'm happy. That's why she digs. I nodded, tossing my keys on the counter. Sure. She's always been weirdly competitive about my relationships. Even with you. That one made me blink. With me? Camille scoffed. You don't see it? The passive comments? The fake concern? She's obsessed with being the one who's right about people. I let her talk. She spiraled into a rant about emotional sabotage and sister wounds. I just watched, noting every deflection, every pivot, every time she used energy instead of truth. Finally, she looked at me, searching for something, guilt, doubt, loyalty. I need you to not let her get in your head. I walked to the kitchen, opened a beer, and said, she's not in my head. And she wasn't. She was in hers. And that's what scared Camille the most. Her sister knew. Maybe not the whole thing, but enough to crack the mask. I took a long sip and said, let's not do brunch with family for a while. She nodded, relieved. Thought she'd steered the ship back to calm waters. But Jade had done me a favor. She reminded Camille she wasn't as invisible as she thought. Jealousy? Maybe. Or maybe Jade just had better signal reception than the rest of us. The playlist was titled Greg. It auto-synced when Camille logged into Spotify on the shared laptop, the one she only used when her phone was charging, which apparently happened most when she was lying. I didn't go looking for it. I just opened the app to play music while folding laundry. And there it was, nestled between Chakra Sleepwave and female empowerment hits. Greg's playlist. I clicked it. First song, Secret Lovers by Atlantic Star. Second, Pony by Genuine. By track 4, Nobody Has to Know, I was laughing out loud. It wasn't just cheating. It was cliché cheating. She was building a sex soundtrack like she thought life was still on MySpace. I didn't confront her. I made it worse. I synced the playlist to the Google Nest in our bedroom. Then I changed the dog's morning alarm, previously set to a mellow chime, to track 1. At 6:45 a.m. the next day, our rescue mutt Cooper went nuts. Camille sat bolt upright as the sultry intro of Secret Lovers echoed off the walls. She looked around, confused, like the house itself had decided to judge her. Why is this playing? She asked, rubbing her eyes. No idea, I said, yawning. Maybe Spotify's on shuffle. She reached for her phone, didn't find it. Searched the nightstand. Then froze. You logged into my account? Nope, I said. Just played something on the shared speaker. Didn't know it had access to your playlists. She looked at me like she was trying to read a foreign language she barely remembered. That's weird. Yeah, I said. Real weird. She turned it off. Silence fell again, but it wasn't the kind that calms. It was the kind that buzzes under your skin. Cooper whimpered, like he sensed the storm behind the stillness. Later that day, she logged out of Spotify. Changed her password. Didn't tell me. That's when I knew I'd won something. Not the war, but a skirmish. Enough to shake her grip. That night, she was soft, overly affectionate. Made dinner, poured wine, asked me questions she hadn't bothered with in weeks. How was work? Did you talk to your mom? Want to go hiking this weekend? I gave her short answers and watched her eyes scan me for clues. She was panicking, but trying to drape it in romance. I let her cling to the illusion of control while the floor kept shifting under her. Because sometimes, the worst thing you can do to a liar is not accuse them. Funny how even the dog knew something was off before she admitted a thing. Camille came into the living room with her sleeves pulled over her hands, the way she did when she was preparing to lie, but wanted it to feel soft. She stood there, quiet for too long, then sat down next to me, legs curled, eyes wide. I need to tell you something, she said. I muted the TV. Okay, She took a breath that belonged in a commercial for essential oils. I've been confused. Emotionally. For a while. I didn't say anything. She continued. You know how I've been trying to reconnect with myself? With my inner child? Ah, inner child. The one she took to hotel rooms and playlists labeled Greg. She pressed on. Greg helped me process some stuff from my past. Childhood trauma. Relationship patterns. I guess I blurred some lines. But I never meant to. I didn't expect it to feel like that. That. She couldn't even say the word. Attraction? Affair? Lust? She kept it vague enough to dodge, intimate enough to play victim. I didn't sleep with him, she added, eyes darting. It wasn't like that. It was emotional. Just emotional confusion. I looked at her like I was seeing a performance, a soft monologue, well rehearsed. There was even a tear hanging in the corner of her left eye. Right on cue. Thank you for telling me, I said. She blinked. Probably didn't expect that. That's it, she asked. I nodded. I get it. Things get blurry. You're human. She stared, waiting for the catch. The anger. The questions. But I gave her none. Just calm. She started crying for real this time. I was scared you'd hate me. I handed her a tissue. I don't hate you, Camille. I just don't believe you. That night, she made love to me like we were sealing some peace treaty. Soft, desperate, loaded with guilt. She whispered things about fresh starts and choosing each other again. I whispered back. I even kissed her forehead. But once she fell asleep, I got out of bed, walked to the office, and backed up the latest smartwatch files to an encrypted folder named Clarity. Messages, calendar invites, GPS pings, voice memos, all time-stamped, all hers. Because while she was making confessions, she still hadn't mentioned Room 12, the weekend retreat, that came with room service and skin-to-skin cardio. She thought she was getting ahead of it, that a tear-streaked partial truth would absolve her from the whole thing. She didn't realize I already knew the script and the ending. Nothing says healing like room charges, voice notes at 2 a.m., and a confession missing 80% of the plot. Camille booked the therapist without asking. Said it was a gift for us. She pronounced the therapist's name like it was French, even though the guy turned out to be a balding Brian with a salt lamp and a bookshelf full of Breen Brown. His office smelled like patchouli and overpriced regret. Camille held my hand the whole intake session, like we were a team trying to overcome a shared tragedy, not a solo artist auditioning for forgiveness. She spoke first. I just want to rebuild what we had. I've made mistakes, but I've also been unheard. Brian nodded sagely. Tell me more about that feeling. She launched into it. How I'd been distant. How I never saw her emotionally. How sometimes she felt like she was in a relationship with a spreadsheet. I sat there and let her paint. I'd heard it all before. The carefully curated list of my shortcomings that just happened to predate her entire relationship with Greg. Then Brian turned to me. What about you? How do you feel when Camille says these things? I looked at her. She blinked, like she was hoping for something tender, something vulnerable. I feel seen, I said, because she's very good at describing feelings, even when they aren't based in reality. Brian tilted his head. Could you elaborate? I smiled. Sure. She says I've been distant. But she's the one who went to a retreat and forgot to mention it was held in room 12 of the Weller Hotel. She says I don't talk, but deletes voice messages that start with, last night was insane, grinning face with sweat. She says I don't open up, but she doesn't remember syncing her smartwatch. Camille stiffened. Her fingers curled into her lap. Brian blinked, clearly unsure if this was still a safe space or an evidence locker. I'm not here to throw stones, I said. I'm just answering your question. Camille tried to pivot. That's not fair. You're spying on me. No, I said. I'm listening. You said it was about trust. I trusted the watch. Brian cleared his throat. It might help if we reframe from accusations and... I'm not accusing, I interrupted. I'm documenting. Silence stretched across the room like a taut wire. Camille's eyes glistened, but not with tears. Not this time. It was fear. That this wasn't going the way she rehearsed. We finished the session in small, brittle sentences. Camille offered to come back next week. I said I'd think about it. We never did. The therapist took notes. I took screenshots. One of us left with a treatment plan. The other left with a folder called Exit Strategy. Her birthday fell on a Thursday. She insisted she didn't want anything. Just time together, something simple. That's Camille code for read my mind, but make it poetic. So I did what any supportive husband would do. I bought her a brand new smartwatch. Top of the line. Sleek, rose gold, better battery. I even sprung for the engraved back. Begin again. Looked spiritual enough to disarm her. She gasped when she opened it. This is wow. I thought you hated these. I smiled. I figured a fresh start deserved a fresh device. She leapt into my arms like I'd proposed again. Thank you. This means so much. We spent the evening eating Thai takeout and watching a documentary about emotional resilience. She made little comments like, "This is us, and we've been through so much, huh?" I nodded. We have. She set up the watch that night. I helped, naturally. Synced it to her phone. Logged into the health app. Transferred her custom settings. She didn't notice that the iPad on my nightstand lit up, synced silently via the household network. Same account, same data. New model, same habits. At 2:17 a.m., the first notification came in. Message from Greg. That thing you wore tonight? Damn. Still thinking about it. Camille was sleeping beside me, arm draped over my chest like a guilty cat. I stared at the screen, calm. At 9:03 the next morning. Greg. Don't worry, he totally bought it. See you Monday. I closed the iPad. Didn't flinch. Just slid out of bed, fed the dog, made eggs. Camille came down in one of my old t-shirts, the ones she used to say felt safe. She wrapped her arms around me. You're being so sweet lately. I kissed her temple. Just happy to see you happy. She beamed. This year's gonna be different. I can feel it. It was. Just not in the way she thought. Over the next few days, I collected everything from the new device. Messages, calendar entries, heart rate logs, even voice memos she didn't know were being backed up to the cloud. She thought a new watch meant a clean slate. She didn't realize I'd simply given her a more advanced confession booth. Nothing says rebirth like rose gold betrayal and a new notification tone from the same old liar. Camille had an exhibit opening at the yoga studio she sometimes called her temple and sometimes called her brand. It featured her abstract paintings, all swirling emotions, tangled brushstrokes, and titles like Releasing Shame Through Movement. I RSVP'd maybe. Instead, I made a different kind of contribution. While she was setting up for the opening, sage sticks lit, crystals aligned, her voice floating through the hall rehearsing her welcome speech. I dropped off a manila envelope at the front desk. No note, no confrontation, just the facts. Inside, 54 printed screenshots, 2 GPS location timelines, 1 voice memo transcript titled, "You make me feel safe, he never sees me," and a copy of the hotel invoice. Room 12, 3 nights, paid in full by Camille Reynolds. I added 1 sticky note. Just 3 words. Maybe this helps. By the time her exhibit started, the envelope had made the rounds. I know because Jade texted me 3 words. Holy, actual, shit. That night, Camille called me 5 times. I didn't answer. She tried again the next morning. Left a voicemail. Her voice cracked, but careful. A performance unraveling. Can we just talk? Please? Whatever you think this is, it's not. I mean, okay. Yes, it looks bad, but you know that's not me. Right? You know me. Yeah, I did now. The messages kept coming. First defensive, then pleading, then angry. You think this makes you the bigger person? Who does that? You just nuked my whole career over what? Misunderstandings. No, Camille. I didn't nuke anything. You lit the fuse. I just let the truth detonate where it needed to. Later that week, I stopped by the studio to pick up the last of my things. She wasn't there, probably somewhere rewriting her origin story. The receptionist didn't say a word, just handed me a box labeled his stuff and avoided eye contact. On the way out, I noticed her painting, Untethered, had been taken down. Guess someone finally read between the brushstrokes. I drove home, cracked a beer, and archived the entire folder. She once said, "Truth is a mirror. Sometimes it shatters." I just made sure she was holding it when it cracked. They called it an art opening, but all I did was expose what was already on the canvas. The weekend arrived with surprising silence. No frantic messages. No calls. Just the dog's collar echoing through the empty house. I packed my essentials into 2 suitcases, clothes, laptop, a framed photo of us from a trip when trust meant something real. I left everything else. The new watch, the crystals, the paintings, her yoga mat with its 1 crooked strap. On the kitchen counter, I placed a small note on her favorite mug. Trust is earned, not granted. Then I walked out, Suitcase wheels clicking down the hall, past the living room where the Nest speaker silently judged her absence, past the office where the backups sat waiting like silent witnesses. Outside, the sun was low, splitting the sky into bruised purple and gold. I paused and looked back at the front door, at the place where I'd tried to build something lasting with someone who only built excuses. I whispered to Cooper, "Ready for our new chapter?" He wagged, tail thumping like a metronome marking a fresh beat. I locked the door behind me. No turning back. No final showdown. Just the click of the latch and the weight of decisive calm. She found the note hours later. I know because I saw her story pop up on Instagram. A photo of the mug. Caption, "Respect is everything, right? Hashtag boundaries." She didn't tag me. I didn't respond. The watch kept sinking for another day. Then finally, it died. Battery empty. Data stale. Silence at last. I lost a marriage. Gained my dignity. What would you do if trust felt like a game you never agreed to play? Drop your thoughts below, because I'm done playing silent referee.